Ask an Expert. This is Jessa, if you're just listening, Jessa coming at you. But I'm here with Kinsey, and we're doing this bonus episode in honor of Ride IQ's 3rd anniversary. And I've been gone for a little while because I had a baby a month ago, and already like we're using a different platform for our live streaming. So I'm looking at my screen right now, and things just look much more high tech and better in my opinion. So maybe I should step away more. But I'm very excited and happy to be doing an Ask an Expert, because as nice as it's been to be able to like step away and have time and just allow myself to be sleep deprived, not under any pressure to perform. I've really missed doing this, and I've missed Kinsey, and I've missed work and the community and everything. So I asked Kinsey if we can do this, and she said yes, and hopefully she doesn't regret it based on me being a little bit loopy. But for this episode, there are no experts. It's just me and Kinsey reflecting on the year. We both are going to interview each other, and we haven't run each other's questions by one another. So this is going to be truly candid. And as we go, if you're listening live and you have questions, as always, please ask them. I'm not sure what the most interesting parts of this will be for you. If it's more like, what our day-to-day business stuff is, what the future of Ride IQ looks like, we'll dig into things like that as they come to mind. But certainly if you have specific questions, please ask them. Kinsey, with that, my co-host Kinsey, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm excited to be doing this. It's Jessa's been, how long have you been on maternity leave? Like 6 weeks, 5 weeks. And it's been weird. So it feels good to be back at it. And we haven't hosted an Ask an Expert together in a while. So yeah, this is fun to do. And it's been fun to see everyone's reaction to just the 3rd birthday of Ride IQ. It's always so rewarding just how engaged this community is.
I feel like undeserving of how wonderful everyone in our community is. Like, I made a post in the Facebook group on Monday saying that it was Ride IQ's 3rd birthday. And then the comments started coming in. I'm just like, these people are so amazing, and they've stuck with us for a long time, many of them for 3 years, and they just continue showing up and supporting us and helping us figure it out. And no matter how many times we like have something to celebrate, they show up to celebrate with us, or ask for help, they show up to help us and have the conversation and think through things. And I just feel very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been so fun going through this with everybody in the community, and like the new faces and their enthusiasm is always great to see. And I love that like we're now at the stage where when new people join the community, our OGs will be the first to step up and be like, let me hold your hand and introduce you to the lessons you need to start with and kind of how to navigate the whole Ride IQ experience. And it's just like it's become a really self-sustaining entity, and it's really rewarding to experience that.
That's so true. It always makes me smile when there's like a post asking for help or advice, or a post that's made on a topic specifically to help people. And I smile because I'm like, our members are so much better at doing all of this than we are, whether it's explaining those things or like when I think about marketing and trying to get new people to come to Ride IQ, I always just look through what our members say, because they are much more articulate and beautifully spoken. And I just admire that a lot. So yeah, the community is definitely, I think every year when we've done these reflections, that has been such a special part of it for both of us, and just kind of more so each day.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been spending a lot of time just kind of reading through and observing the way people interact in the Facebook community. And I want us to do like one thing to put on the to-do list for this coming year is trying to get more of our membership there, because I think it is a small but mighty portion of our membership that's in the Facebook group, but there's a lot of people who I'm sure don't even know that exists. And so if anybody listening has any ideas as to how we can get those people who don't even know the Ride IQ Facebook community, or don't really know haven't understood the value of the Facebook community, how to get them on board, we are open ears on that. But that's going to be one of the things that I want to put some effort in the next 12 months, is how do we get a much larger portion of our membership there. And I want to learn more about Patreon too, because I feel like that's something that, like, a tool people use for communities within like Eventing Nation. And I've seen like blog writers in the equestrian space have Patreons. And I know everyone really loves Facebook. I really like Facebook. I'm not suggesting we leave Facebook, but who knows? Maybe that's something that you guys want to push us towards. And we're always open-minded. Yeah.
Amanda Chance, I know, has a Patreon, so that would probably be a good one for us to join, because she's supported us for so long, and continues to help us. She actually set up this live recording for us today. But I think Patreon might be more like, I think that platform is specifically to monetize your community. I'm not sure if I'm sure it has more features than Facebook, but I don't know. We'll have to learn more. I'm not sure if it would like be value add or not. Obviously, we would not be monetizing a new platform. But I see what you mean about, like, are there other features that people would want that we can build right in? Because having everything in one spot definitely is helpful. There were probably 3 or 4 weeks there that we weren't able to live stream directly to the Facebook group for these Ask an Experts. And that was super annoying for us, but probably more so for members. Pam, shout out to you. I know that we continued week after week to send out a link that wasn't opening up for you correctly for YouTube. So that's an example of sticking with us. Now, fortunately, we have this new platform that seems like it's streaming to the Facebook group. But little things like that, being able to host more and add more value within the group does make sense, just because the group is so important to us.
Yeah. So we kind of dove right into talking about community, and I think it's an important subject. But before we get too deep into the weeds on one thing, Jess, I know you said that you had a baby, but do you want to tell us a little bit about Logan and kind of how that experience is going?
Yeah, so I had a baby on July 14th. I was due July 10th, or I should say the baby was due July 10th. And so I was 4 days late. I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. Pretty much the whole pregnancy, I was saying she and assuming that it was a girl. And then at the very end, I was like, I think this might be a boy. Obviously, you never really know, but it was I really enjoyed having that unknown and having it be a surprise. So it was a boy, and everything went so smoothly, and it was just it was such a special experience. I was definitely, like, being a first-time mom, you've no idea what that's going to be like, and it was just like beautiful. It was so beautiful, and I feel so lucky. And I'm really, really loving just taking time to be present with Logan and with my husband, Matt, and figuring this all out. And I was definitely concerned that doing maternity leave was going to make me feel like anxiety about being away from Ride IQ. And just, I imagined myself like nursing and brainstorming ideas for Ride IQ, or like being up in the middle of the night listening to business podcasts so that I could make this the most efficient time possible while I'm away. And fortunately, I have been able to actually be present in learning how to be a mom. And I think that is, I mean, part of it is because it demands a lot of presence, and like warrants a lot of presence. Like, I want to be present. And also, I know that Ride IQ, I mean, like I said from the beginning, it seems like things are going very smoothly. I hope that you guys will have me back when I'm ready to be back. But because I was pregnant, that was kind of a nudge that we needed to strengthen our team. And probably 2 weeks before I gave birth, we made our first full-time hire, and she's an absolute gem. Her name's Danielle. She lives in Vermont. She has a riding background, but she also has a startup background, and she's a mom. She has twins, a boy and a girl that are 3.5. So that keeps her very busy. But just like a really great, talented person and a fresh perspective. And I do still troll our Ride IQ Slack group. And I know Danielle and Kinsey know that I troll it because like I'll chime in totally randomly throughout the day. But it's really fun to see like them continue, they're not only have they not missed a beat without me, like things are going really well. And there's just a lot of enthusiasm with that duo being a relatively new duo and having new initiatives. So that has been just everything work wise and personal wise feels like it's in great harmony right now.
Yeah, I will say before Jessa had Logan, I was really curious to see how it was going to play out because for the last year and a half, maybe a little longer than that, maybe like, I don't know, maybe almost 2 years, Jessa has worked 7 days a week, 22 hours a day. And it doesn't matter if she and Matt are on vacation. It doesn't matter if we're on a family vacation. She is working. And it's been wild because no matter how many times I've been like, hey, you should take some time away. You should unplug. It just like, it's been really, she's just been very keyed in or like really focused on Ride IQ. And so I was like, is she like, yeah, kind of as you said, I was kind of like, are you going to continue to try to work while Logan, like right after Logan was born? And I'm really glad that it's worked out how it has, because I think it's really great to see you fully embrace being a mom and like, and enjoying this time. And I don't think you would ever regret taking this approach versus like taking the approach of like trying to do it all can be really taxing, especially when like there's so many demands on you as it is. So it's really been great to see. And at some point, Danielle and I are for sure going to prank you by saying something weird in the Slack and just to figure out what the right thing is.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. Now I'll be on the lookout. Yeah, the Slack is definitely my entertainment, but it has been, well, first of all, the comment about like how much I work, that has been an ongoing challenge for me. And I know you've tried to help, because both of us know it's not like you don't get your best work output when you just are heads down, constant about it. You get your best work output when you have really focused time and then step away and get fresh air and do things that make you feel, energy and alive. And that is something that I have but I've had a hard time like finding that balance. And I do think that this kind of reset, if anything's going to help me get there, I think that this reset will help me get there. And as I was kind of reflecting before this call, that was something that I wrote down as a goal for myself for this coming year, is to do that. And part of that is going and being part of new communities and new cultures within the horse world, like get ourselves out of our comfort zone again. I think year one was like fully out of our comfort zone. And the beginning of year two, time is, it's hard to know exactly where these things fall in the timeline, but there was a lot of like out of our comfort zone time. And now we've hit our stride. And I think it's time to go back to that place. And like, I would love to seek out events in the equestrian world that are just totally new to us, whether they're like true growth initiatives or just like, let's experience this and be exposed to it and meet more horse people. Because at the core of what we're doing, we've learned it's not about like a specific discipline or a specific skill. It's about being the best horse person you can be for your horse, because that's what they deserve. And I'm sure that that will be a common thread throughout a lot of different communities within equestrian sports. And I would really like to like learn about that and bring that back to the community if it's, if that's the right thing.
Absolutely. And I'm just I'm reading the comments on the Facebook community. So thank you guys.
People are watching this.
for putting those questions in there in comments. And Lauren Spricer commented that she wasn't aware that we're supposed to take breaks from time to time. And yeah, Lauren, I think that you are the living embodiment of continuing to go, go, go. But you managed to be very effective in that approach. So keep up the good work. Yeah, so I think it definitely will continue to serve you, just this new role of mom, in addition to your role as founder of Ride IQ. And it's just going to be cool to see like Logan grow up. I like to mess with Jessa, and every time she sends me a photo, I'll just comment on how old he looks, and like he's an adult and he's like ready to go off to college. And I'm like, I'm sure that drives her nuts. But he does, every photo he gets like bigger and he looks more like an adult.
I didn't know you were messing with me, but I do have, like, I don't want it to go by too fast. So it does stress me out a little, and it's working. I will say that part of looking back on this past year, looking forward to this next year, I'm really looking forward to not being pregnant. Like, that was a hard part of this past year. If anybody saw me at Land Rover, I was ready to I was so done. And 10 months is just a long time to feel so like kind of depleted compared to your normal self. So now that Logan is here, I just feel this like new energy despite not sleeping and whatnot. For me, it's so much easier on this side of things. And I think it'll be nice, like, bring that energy to work and not just be like, doing all that I can given my like low fuel level that I experienced a lot of pregnancy.
Yeah, super.
The last thing I want to say, Lauren so go ahead.
Lauren was asking if the first pony's been procured.
I've been getting some like ads and whatnot and encouragement from Ride IQ members. It started with Kara Doberstein. She's a big pony proponent. And so no, the pony has not been procured, but the outfit has. So he has jodhpurs and a riding shirt that was the very, very first gift I got. Actually, I told one of my best friends who I grew up riding with. She had sent me an Instagram post. It was like, when you have a baby, you need to buy this outfit. And I was like, I'm pregnant. and so she sent it to me. So that's hanging in his closet. He's ready in that respect. But no, pony has not been procured. Please do send me info. I will find a way. I'll find a way because that will be too cute. What was I going to say? The last thing I'll say about the pregnancy thing, I didn't mean to spend 20 minutes on this, but my favorite memory from the day he was born, Kinsey arrived like last minute. Like the hospital guest hours were coming to the very end, and she landed that night. So it was just a few hours after he was born. And we have a video of her meeting him for the first time, and it's the most adorable reaction ever. Because Kinsey's a very much less emotional than me, but she was very emotional meeting him, and I thought that was so sweet. So that was one of my favorite memories, and it was just really cool having her there day of and kind of in those first days, because he was teeny tiny.
He was so small. Oh my gosh. I could cry again thinking about it. Yeah, he's a cutie. Everyone in chat, you guys, okay, great questions. I want to make sure I don't miss any of these. I know I saw one that I'm no longer seeing for some reason, but it was about how we plan to differentiate from the other equestrian education platforms out there, and like kind of how do we see Ride IQ being different. Do you want to take that one, Jessa? Or we can tag team it.
Yeah, one thing that has differentiated us to date is the core of what we offer are real-time listen while you ride audio lessons, because we believe that instruction while you're doing the activity is the most effective type of instruction, and it upgrades your practice from just practice to really deliberate practice. So that's really differentiated us from the beginning, and we've stuck with that being the core of our offering because we see it being super effective for people. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I think differentiates us is being truly founder led. Like, we, of course, follow these other equestrian education platforms to understand. I think a lot of people dabble in multiple platforms. So kind of understand what the landscape is and how we can offer something different and high value. And I think being founder led is an important thing. And I think it's part of what makes the community really special, because there's humans behind it, and there's, we're all a group of humans. This is where the incoherency starts. But those are the two things. Being like real time audio focused, that makes it so that it can be affordable and give you access to whatever instructors you want to learn from. And second is being founder led.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I completely agree with both of those points. And the only thing I would add is just like, we have so much respect and admiration for the other platforms that exist, and like they are offering great services. But we don't necessarily we don't even our point of view is not necessarily like worried about the competition, because we're worried about building the right product for our users and for the general equestrian audience, and the best product for them. So like that's one thing that I'm really focused on right now, and we're focused on it as a team, is just like, how do we continue to innovate and like iterate on what Ride IQ is, and not get too stuck on what we had an idea, our vision for it 3 years ago, and instead focus on what do our end users need today, and like how do we add the most value, how do we change the way that we're doing things. And we're like, there's small movements towards that, where like we launched this past Tuesday, we released our first versions of like this new approach to jump lessons, and that was in response to having some customer discovery calls where we talked a lot about jump lessons and the best way to approach that with our users. And John Halling is one of our coaches. He's the absolute best when it comes to just like being down to test things. And so we released those new attempt at jump lessons. Like, so excited to hear what you guys think. If they are a total flop, like no big deal, we'll go back to the drawing board on that. But I think that just like continuing to have open ears and wanting to iterate based on what we're hearing from our users is really gonna set us apart, because it is gonna be hard to not succeed when we're building in the direction of what we're hearing our users need and what we're experiencing our users need. So that's been definitely a focus that we've had, and definitely want to continue to have as we continue to build Ride IQ.
Will you describe the new format for the jump lessons for people who haven't listened or seen anything about that?
Yeah, so our jump lessons to date have all been the same format as our flat work lessons, which is, it's just a listen while you ride audio lesson, which it like definitely can be useful, and it is useful, but we wanted to reflect on or appreciate the fact that jumping is a different experience than flat work, and you have the added dynamic of having somebody on the ground setting jumps that you're talking to, and it can be a bit difficult to like get all the timing perfect. And so this new approach to the jump lesson is really more leading with the exercise. So what's the exercise that I need to set up? What's the equipment that I need in order to set this up? And what's the goal of the exercise? And what we instructed John to do, and what he did really well, is basically the audio recording is the preamble the coach would give you at the beginning of a lesson or the beginning of a clinic, explaining what they have set up, why they have it set up, like what the objective of the exercise is and how to execute it. And then oftentimes they're also going to tell you like, here are the mistakes that you're going to run into. Like here is the problems that you're going to fall you're going to fall victim to, because that's the point of the exercise. And here is how it's going to test you or test your horse. And here's how to troubleshoot that. So really giving you like that holistic picture of how to train using this exercise that they have set up. And it could be an exercise of 2 poles on the ground. Like it doesn't need to be a 10 jump course. And so there's the audio lesson that's like your pre-ride preamble. There's the video showing you the coach executing the exercise. And then these all have voiceover. So John is talking you through it as he's executing it. And then there's obviously the course diagrams, the setup of the exercise. And we also, like, small update here too, but we added the course diagram to the track image so that you don't even have to click into the track if you know, like, for sure that exercise is not going to suit you or your horse, or I don't have enough jumps for that, or I only want to work on fill in the blank. So hopefully by leading with the diagrams, we can really just help people make the right choice and find the right jump exercise for them. And I'm just excited to hear what people think. I think it's going to be the first version of this, and we'll hopefully get to version 50 and continue to improve from there.
Yeah. And shout out to Lee Higby for being the one who gave us that insight. On that call, Lee was mentioning, like, she's like, my boyfriend comes, he sets jumps for me. But as I'm listening to the jump lesson, which to date, the jump lessons have just been, consistent audio like any other lesson. It's hard to have the person on the ground helping you and the audio going in your ears. And that was insight that I was just like, of course. How has it been 3 years and that has not occurred to me? So insights like that, and what Kinsey mentioned about the jump diagrams, like the fact that you have to click into each lesson to see what it requires jump wise, what the actual exercise is. That's a lot of clicking in and out if you're trying to find something. That also came from Lee. But those types of things, as you're using the Ride IQ app and you have inconveniences like that, or just experiences that could be better or prompt an idea or anything like that, please not only like don't hesitate to share it with us. We would be so appreciative to hear about what that experience is like, because truthfully, Kinsey and I do not have horses right now. So we're not experiencing these things. We're really relying on chatting with you guys and hearing from you guys so that we can adjust accordingly and, make everything a smoother, better, more value add experience for you. But yeah, that came from Lee. And I loved the light bulb moment for me, even though I was kind of annoyed with myself for not recognizing that might be an option. But yeah, hopefully that new format is a step in the right direction for jump lessons.
Yeah, another kind of exciting update on the jump lesson front is now when you go into the jump lesson portion of the library, the first thing you'll find in any of those playlists is the jump diagram booklet. So we now have kind of booklets throughout the app as they're useful of information, whether it's a program, a conditioning schedule, or in this case, jump diagrams. And hopefully those are just like a great resource for everybody in helping them find the right content and continuing to learn and develop as we kind of pursue these goals. We are getting some more great questions in chat. Amanda had a follow-up question about whether or not we're focused on eventing or English in general.
Amanda Chance. Oh, I was going to say, She's probably like, what's your credit card information for the Patreon? Okay, you can answer that one.
Okay, yeah, great question, Amanda. So Jessa and my background is in eventing. So that was where we originally launched, because our coaching team was predominantly eventers when we launched 3 years ago. But we want Ride IQ to be a product for everybody. And we really, like, our ultimate goal is to be discipline agnostic, and that's both English and Western. And so the coaching team is really has a lot of eventers and a lot of dressage riders right now. We're onboarding show jumpers and hunters and show jumpers, and that's been a really great experience learning about those sports. But we also have like members of our community who are endurance riders or not competitive riders, or just like recreational riders, and we want to make sure that Ride IQ is also a great, like a equally great product for them as it is for the super competitive eventer. And so it's been that's going to be a continuous journey for us of expanding into these different sports and making sure that we're representing them appropriately and in a way that's relevant to those riders. But the goal is definitely to be a product that can be valuable to all riders. And that's just going to be something we're continuing to work on in year 4 and probably year 5 and so on and so forth. But we'll get there eventually. Brittany is asking if we'll ever have or create more than one app.
I think that goes back to the question or the answer, what the monologue Kinsey did earlier about being married to the customers, not to the solution. So we're not married to having a single app that is focused on audio lessons. We're married to learning about where there are places that we can add value and add the most value. We don't have plans to have different apps, but we certainly have talked about, like, does it make the most sense to host multiple disciplines within one app or have discipline specific apps? When we've had those conversations, we usually end up talking about how special it's been to have crossover between disciplines, both in terms of like crossover between people in those different communities, but also individuals being able to be exposed to how different disciplines approach things. And just so many of our members are so curious and interested in learning. And I think being able to dabble in other disciplines is part of learning for a lot of people. So that's where that conversation usually goes. But I think if we were to have a second or multiple apps, it would just be because we're hearing from people that they're looking for something that would require another different app.
Yeah. We're always going to be bringing in more data from you guys and learning from you guys and continuing to kind of figure out ways like how Ride IQ can best serve you. So today it's one app. We don't know if in 10 years it's 2 apps or what that looks like. Kara put into the chat that there could be a niche of beginners or returning riders who may want some more intro level content. Very true. Like that is something that we're working on actually right now is bringing on coaches or content creators who really serve that community of people who are just getting back into riding or starting riding for the first time. And it's a really fun experience. Like there's a huge audience for that. And I think we could serve them in a really great way.
That has been an insight that we've gotten from multiple people and multiple conversations is, when we launched Ride IQ, we were thinking we really need the highest level coaches in the world to be our instructors. And that's what we want to bring to the table. So, we have several Olympians. Nearly everyone on the app has competed to the top level and produced riders to the top level, which is so special and so important to us. But we've also heard from riders and members that sometimes it's not necessary, and it can even be a little bit like mismatched if you're getting on your horse who is new to a specific discipline and the coach in your ear is an Olympic rider riding a horse that's gearing up for the Olympics, and you're just like, is this the right fit for me? Or, could I learn from another coach who hasn't necessarily competed to the top level or produced riders to the top level, but has such a knack for explaining things at a different level and might be riding a horse that's at a different level. So we're just experimenting more with that. And in in those conversations, the things that we're staying super true to is, one, anyone on the app has to have a reputation for exceptional horsemanship. And to date, as far as we know, we've done a really good job at that. All of our coaches really do put that first. And I think that you hear that through their lessons and how they instruct and how they treat their horses while they're recording these lessons. And then they just have to be incredible communicators. So communicating what they're doing really well, because obviously when you're relying on audio, that's first and foremost. But giving ourselves permission to consider deviating from only, top level coaches being featured on the app, I think actually could really serve members.
Yeah, and just like different communication styles are really helpful. I think a person who teaches a lot of like first up down lessons is going to have a different communication style than somebody who teaches a lot of super advanced riders. So that could be a real benefit to have that variety in coach experience. So we've been talking for a while about just like random topics, and I think you guys please keep putting these questions in chat. I am monitoring them and I'm loving them. But I would love to hear from you, Jessa. What from this last year are you most excited about, or do you have any like top memories from this last year?
Yes. Three things come to mind first. I don't know if these are in order or not, but the first one is in order. I probably 4 months ago visited Minnesota and got to ride Olaf, and that was like actual dreams coming true. I still get so happy thinking about that experience. For those of you who aren't in the Facebook group, or somehow Olaf hasn't crossed your screen if you are in the Facebook group, Olaf is Anna's horse, and he's a fjord, and she calls him the fabulous fat fjord. And they live in Minnesota. And from the beginning of Ride IQ, I would assume that they're like day one members. He has just been such a source of joy for everyone in the Ride IQ group. And part of that is because he is so freaking cute. And part of that is because Anna's really talented at sharing how quirky and funny he is. That's an example of like an incredible storyteller. I get so excited when I see that she posts in the group. But he's kind of been like an unofficial mascot of Ride IQ forever. And so I went to Minnesota, and Anna invited me to her farm, which is so beautiful, and so many happy animals on this farm. It's like a children's book. Like, there are happy horses and happy chickens and happy goats and sheep and all sorts of animals over just this beautiful landscape. And Anna is such a gem. And I went out there to meet Olaf and was like giggling the whole time. Donkeys. He lives with donkeys. So I was out there feeding Olaf carrots, and Anna's like, let's go for a ride. And I was pregnant, and I was like, no, I didn't come here with like ulterior motives to ride or anything. And she just kept kind of nudging me. She said, let's take like what did she call it? Anna, you'll have to remind me what you called it. Like I don't remember what it was, but she reworded take a ride around the farm. And then I agreed. So I got on Olaf. She got on her mare, Olaf. But now my brain is shutting down. I got on Olaf. She got on her mare. We took a ride around the farm, and my cheeks hurt because I was smiling so much. So that was incredibly special. The second one is we did 2 live rides this year. So we hosted, it's like a live virtual clinic, just audio. The most recent one was with John Holling. Our first one was a beta test with Kyle. The most recent one was with John Holling. And I just thought those were kind of like had something magic about them. Like everyone riding along together in different parts of the country, and sharing the experience afterward and reflecting on it afterward and having to show up for this thing at the same time was super, super cool. And I know that we'll do more of those because that just was a very cool experience, even just watching from the sidelines. And the third thing is also regarding John. I can't remember how it got started. I think we might have brought the idea to him because I know you and I had talked about this, which was basically like John gives so much to this community. I think people would want to be part of what he's doing and find a way to support him. And so we did a Ride IQ community syndicate share to support his string of horses. And I think there was like, John was like, do you think people really want to be part of it? And we sent out one email to Ride IQ members, and in one day, 24 hours, the syndicate share was fully claimed because so many people raised their hand and said they wanted to be part of it. And now John is hosting this community of Ride IQ community members who were able to be part of this syndicate because it's a share. Like we're all taking a piece of this single share, so it wasn't as big of a financial investment. So that was kind of an easier way to be part of that experience. And John is keeping us apprised of all the horses, training and show schedule, and sharing video updates quite frequently. That I just think all of that is super cool. That's a different model than is normally done for syndicate shares and for supporting a rider. And I think it's especially cool because John, he has contributed to this community with no motive, and in doing so just has so many fans, so for people to be able to be more part of his journey is pretty cool.
Yeah, seeing how much everybody just like the Ride IQ coaching teams in general, like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name everybody, but like Lauren and Kyle and Jen and all these people who, and I mean, there's so many. But like just seeing them gain such a fan club of all the members. I mean, it's not at all surprising, obviously, but it is really been cool. And like all the customer discovery calls that we have, the coaches will come up and people like really, I mean, I do too. I feel like these coaches are now like my coach and my friend. And it's really been a great experience bridging that gap between these like really accomplished riders and coaches and the rest of the equestrian community. So seeing people really stand up and support John was definitely awesome, and I hope that that's the first of a lot of things like that we can do. And that was totally cool. Anna put it in chat that you guys went for a toddle.
Yes, that's what it was. I was like, was it a twaddle? Was it a waddle? Yeah, we went for a toddle around the farm, which was so lovely. And it was Logan's first horseback ride.
Yeah, first of many. I was so jealous. Jessa FaceTimed me standing with Olaf, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm not there. But I'm really happy that happened.
Yeah, I'm really happy that happened too. What have some of your highlights been?
Yeah, so I've lost all sense of time, so apologies if these aren't in the last 12 months. But one thing that came to mind, which is like kind of random, was when Android 13 or 14 came out last fall.
Oh my God.
Our Android app broke, and it was because we released a new version of the app, and like lines got crossed, and like basically the same day that our new version went out, Android 14 got released on some devices. And so that caused those devices, the app, to stop working. And it was down for, I think, like 72 hours. And just like, we obviously communicated immediately with those Android users, and there was a lot of back and forth, but people experiencing people being so supportive. It was like, it almost felt like like we were apologetic. We felt so bad, but it felt like our users were like consoling us, and they were like the ones who were like, no, don't worry, like we're sorry. Like it's like it was so wild to experience that, and then like I feel like we became better friends with the people who that happened to as a result of that than had that not happened. And I remember at the end of that week just being like, oh my gosh, like how did we get so lucky that like the tech stopped working for more than 24 hours and somehow we came out feeling better about like everything as a result. Like that was a weird highlight because of the circumstances, but a highlight nonetheless, just because I loved experiencing that with this community and just seeing kind of everyone's reactions and learning from that for sure. Because I think one thing we learned from that was just like communicate often and a lot and kind of just support people through those experiences and we'll all be okay. So that was really cool to see that. And then another, I mean, I know we mentioned bringing on Danielle full time, but Danielle coming on and joining the team in the last couple of weeks has been like a hugely rewarding experience. And I'm just so excited to see what the three of us and and all of our, I mean, we have a lot of other team members who are all part-time team members, so it's definitely not just the three of us, but what this whole Ride IQ team can do together. And I just think that I'm very confident that the fourth year is going to be the best year, and hopefully it continues to iterate from there. So a lot of there's been a lot of highlights throughout the years, but those are the two that came to mind just off the top of my head.
I love that the Android crashing is one of them, but it makes complete sense. Like that deserves to be a highlight. That was wild.
Yeah, I guess when life gives you lemons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just pulling up my questions for you. What have you learned over the last year?
I think what I've learned over not only the last year, but just through this experience is we're always trying to kind of like crack the code on how do we add value for more riders, like grow this community in a way that's really like giving the community what they're looking for. And we have not cracked that code, I wouldn't say. Like we're constantly ideating around it, but as long as we continue to make our like first and foremost approach to this be like being good to people, we'll be moving in the right direction. And that like gives me a lot of calm. I think there have been more high stress phases of this business where I am like, we need to figure this out now. And now I'm like, I know that we're going to figure it out in terms of like having a sustainable business and growing the business so that it's sustainable and becoming more a part of the larger equestrian community. But I think just being good to people is what will bridge the gap and get us there and keep us on track with what we're trying to do. What do you think? What have you learned?
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I think we've like touched on it quite a bit already, but the just needing to continue to iterate is not only something that I think is great for the business, but over the last year I've learned how important it is for me personally, because I think like whenever I feel complacent, it's hard to like be motivated. Mm-hmm. And so continuing to move the goalposts and figure out new ways of tackling these kind of pain points that we're looking to address with Ride IQ really is super important to the business, but it's really important to me personally as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also, from Ride IQ content, there's one specific piece of wisdom that I have carried with me the most, and it came from Dickie Waygood. If you guys haven't listened to Dickie Waygood's series, I encourage you to. There's a podcast in the app called The Waygood Way, and Dickie's incredible, but he's part of his many, many, many accolades is that he's led several teams to podium finishes in both dressage and eventing at the Olympics and on other world stages. He's just an incredible leader and gets results. And the piece of advice that he gave was focus on the system, not the outcome, and like be true to the system, not the outcome. And so I just think I think that people who get exceptional results embrace that and live by that. And so it's something that I've been trying to be more conscious of in my life.
Yeah, totally. I think that's great advice. There's so many good takeaways from Dickie's podcasts. Those are really, really amazing. One other highlight that I forgot to mention is the second season of Equestrian Mastermind. I felt like was really just like, I mean, the first season was absolutely incredible. The second season was absolutely incredible, but just going along for that ride with this new group of riders over that like the 4-month period was super cool. So really grateful to those riders for doing that and being vulnerable and sharing with us.
Yeah, if you guys haven't listened to those, you probably have, but season 1 was event riders. This past season was dressage riders. And Lawrence Breiser deserves the shout out for making the dressage season happen because one, she raised her hand and said she would do it, which is not easy. I would be scared to put all that out there. If you don't know, the concept of Equestrian Mastermind is it's mindset workshops as a group hosted by Natalie Hummel, and it's a 4 workshop series. And as listeners, we just get to listen in on these riders working through different things that might be holding them back. And it's just incredibly vulnerable and candid and relatable, which is incredible because, you know, these riders are all at the top level aiming for like being on teams. And as a, you know, not a rider that's ever been or will ever be at that level, it's still just, there's like a shared experience to it nonetheless, which is really cool. So yeah, I think that's a great highlight.
Yeah. So we're here almost on the hour. I think we should probably, like, my thought on where to end, but like, tell me if you disagree.
Yeah.
Would be to talk about something that we look forward to in the next year. Is there anything that comes to mind for you, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
So one thing that I like, a sneak peek or something that I look forward to, well, there's going to be a lot of like feature updates in the app in the next like 2 to 3 weeks that are really, I mean, they're super exciting to me, but hopefully they're super exciting to you guys. And shortly you are going to be able to, as soon as you finish your ride, it is going to prompt you to review the ride and write notes for yourself. So basically, like, you can give any ride any score out of 5 stars, and that's just private to you. Yeah, that's just private to you. So don't worry about like other people. You don't have to, no one is going to see that. It's just so you can keep track for your own records. And then when you do that, you also have the opportunity to take notes. So if you do a ride today and then you do the same ride 3 months from now, you can compare your rating, but you can also add new notes. So you can save those on those tracks and you can always refer back to them. Really excited for that.
Whoa, that's amazing. I think we should have ended on, bye guys. We should have ended on that. That's like so awesome.
When is that should be released maybe next week, but let's say realistically in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Cool. So really excited about that. You'll be able to do that within the track, like where you can press like the icons on the track. There will be a star. So you can add your rating and your notes there. Really, that's going to be great. And then another feature I'm excited about is definitely the kind of booklet content within the app I think that there's a lot of really cool things we could do with that. And we're also going to start playing around with chaptering content. So for our users who want to skip the intro to lessons, or they want to skip the coach preamble to a lesson and get straight to work, like we can accommodate that by adding chapters to the content. And so gonna start playing around with that. That'll be rolled out a bit like over time, but would love to hear kind of what you guys think of that. But those are features, that's like features within the next 30 days. As far as the next 12 months go, we're also, one big project that's underway is kind of a reorganization of the content within the app to try to help our users answer the question of what lessons should I take today a lot faster and more efficiently. And so working on like what that's all going to look like and building that out. All the same content is going to be there, but we're going to put it in a different way to make it just easier to find the right content for you. But no worries for anybody who likes the way it currently looks. We will still have like an Explore library tab, which will look very similar to what you're used to seeing today on the Lessons tab. So everybody will hopefully be a winner in that situation. And yeah, those are some things that are like really on the like front burner and are in the works that I'm excited about.
Whoa. Now I'm excited too. That we've been communicating pretty much exclusively through photos of Logan lately, and those were truly updates for me, and those are really good updates. I don't have anything comparable to get people excited about, but I would say looking like from a high level, looking at the next 12 months, I would really like to lean into community, both in terms of being out in the community, like I mentioned, and having more face-to-face time with people and just experiencing not only competitions, but like the things going on out in the world, and things like doing more live rides, because I think those are like, how can we foster more shared experience? And I want to answer that question and be part of it. I don't know exactly what it looks like now, but I do think it's really important and part of, what we're trying to do. So the community side of things, especially IRL type community stuff, will be present in a bigger way in the next 12 months, at least for what I'm working on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I loved all the enthusiasm in chat, you guys. This has been so much fun. And I mean, just can't believe we're at 3 years, but already excited for when we're back doing this a year from now.
Yes, me too. It wouldn't be right to sign off with anything other than like, we love you guys. Thank you for continuing to be part of Ride IQ. Thank you for letting us stumble and picking us up when we need to be picked up, like Kinsey mentioned with the Android crash. But it's the reason, you all are the reason that Ride IQ exists. You are what Ride IQ is. You're the reason that Kinsey and I get to work on it. So thanks for making it special, and let's continue making it special together for the next year.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week for the video review with John. Bye, guys.